Hands down, without a doubt, history's best, worst bass player ever has to be Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols. Now, before I go into why I want to apologize that I won't be playing any of their songs, to say, okay, here he is live. Here's what the soundtrack sound like. Here's what he actually sounds like when he's the one doing the playing. I can't do that because every time I try to include even just audio tracks, but any sort of video of um, licensed copyrighted music and upload that to YouTube, it instantly gets pulled down. The only time I ever get away with that is when I'm saying that it's a bass cover. And then even then, sometimes they get pulled down. I don't know how other people do it, but I'm not able to. So this is going to be a very talky video. But it's also going to be a very fun topic to talk about because it's very much a jokes on me video. I, like many others back in the early 80s, was a huge Sex Pistols fan. And so much so that I um, was enamored with Sid Vicious, their very iconic bass player. And like so many others, he inspired me to want to pick up the bass. Both he and Flea at the same time um, were the ones that had me running to my parents saying, please buy me a bass. I want to learn how to play the bass. To which their response at the time was, hell no, you're going to learn how to play the piano. So given how this gentleman's life turned out, maybe not bad parenting. So you're going to hear a little bit more. If you don't already know the story, you're going to hear about it by the time this video ends. Um, Sid Vicious inspired myself and millions to want to become a bass player in a punk rock band, and yet he could not play. But we had absolutely no idea he could not play. We thought he was an amazing bass player. And the reason for that is somebody else was doing the bass playing on their studio albums. And they didn't really set out to Milli Vanilli us. Sid Vicious joined the Sex Pistols right before their meteoric rise to fame. And he was an intermediate level bass player. He could kind of sort of play the bass better, but more importantly, he looked the part. Right? He was very punk rock. He had a very punk rock rebel attitude. He was a tall, good-looking guy with spiky hair, who wore a dog collar around his neck with a padlock on it. Very famous for that. If you're gonna do a Sid Vicious costume, the first thing you do is you're gonna run out and buy that dog collar and padlock. He had, a major attitude. He had this sort of thing with his lip where, the Billy Idol thing that Billy Idol does with his lip and the Billy Idol look. That is very much a later, it's almost like he ripped off Sid Vicious. If Sid Vicious's hair was blonde, the two look, looking at the picture, look a lot alike, had a very similar image. Billy Idol happened to have a hell of a lot more talent. Um, so to Billy Idol's credit, I'm not knocking you, Billy. I think you're awesome. Um, so he was hired to do a job, and he did that job well. That for the job that they expected him to be doing. Then all of a sudden, they do some interviews. He mouths off to the interviewers, and suddenly everybody wants to hear more from the Sex Pistols. So they go into a studio and they record an album. And unfortunately, they record the track Bodies. I believe it was the first one they tried to record. And that is him, despite what the naysayers say, that is actually him on the album playing Bodies. But they have to work so hard and he does such a terrible job. And it's like pulling teeth to get a usable track out of him that they say, okay, this just isn't going to work. We'll never get this album finished. And it definitely won't be to the standards that we want. So let's go get our much better, more talented bass player who was originally with the band, not to join the band again, because that's never going to happen, but let's pay him to record the rest of the tracks on the album. Believe his name was Glenn Matlock. He agrees to do it, and then things fall apart because they can't get him the money. He must be paid up front. So then um, backs out. So they get their guitarist, Steve Jones, very talented musician, records these awesome bass lines, these amazing, iconic punk rock bass lines that all of us hear. And because we see Sid Vicious on the TV and in the magazines, we think Sid Vicious is the one doing the playing because we don't have the internet to tell us that he's not playing, because we don't have behind the music to tell us that he's not playing, and because Milli Vanilli had never come out yet, we were super naive and just believed what we saw and read and just assumed that what we were listening to was actually Sid Vicious. Um, there's another album that came out after they broke up. After that album, they came to the United States, did a big tour, went horribly for them. In the process, they built, millions of fans, but uh, from their experience, it was a horrible experience. There's lots of infighting. They go back to the United Kingdom, break up. Many years, but their fame sort of only grows based off of that one album. They especially here in the States, um, they become synonymous with punk rock. You're not a punk rock fan if you don't know who the Sex Pistols are and don't own and at least their two main albums. Their first studio album, their only studio album, Nevermind the Bullocks, which we already talked about, where all but one of the songs Steve Jones is doing the bass playing, not Sid Vicious, much to our chagrin to learn later. And We've Come for Your Children with Come spelled in a very unchild friendly way. Um, the second track on that, Suburban Kid, that's actually Sid Vicious as well. There is a Frank Sinatra cover, My Way, where he gets up in there and sings. Who knows whether he's actually playing the bass on that? I didn't research that. Um, he's a horrible singer, but it was a very punk rock performance, and people who like punk rock begrudgingly, or maybe they didn't like it, but they decided to say they did. I don't know. It's like a very iconic sort of thing that he's very well known for. Um, just butchers the heck out of that Frank Sinatra song, and yet people love it. Um, what else can I say about him? Well, you got to talk about the movie, right? Um, Gary Oldman played him in a movie called Sid and Nancy, um, that talks is a very depressing movie. Not to be a spoiler alert, but the whole point of the movie is about one, his meteoric rise to fame, and two, his very, very destructive relationship with Nancy. As people were prone to do back in the day, they put all the blame for his spiral and drug addiction and his spiral into self-destruction on her. Certainly the other band members do. Johnny Rotten does in the series Punk. Johnny Rotten says, basically blames himself for introducing the two of them. Um, how that ended, definitely spoiler alert, is how, and I don't remember if the movie, how much of the movie covers this, but how his life ended was Nancy's body was found in their hotel room with her being stabbed to death. He was arrested, then released on bail, and immediately died of a drug addiction. So definitely not someone you would want to pattern your life after. Very sad, very tragic end that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Um, but he managed to, highlighting the positive, he managed to inspire millions of people to want to learn the bass and become, punk rock icons like he was. Um, and he managed to do it without actually having a great deal of talent, and nobody knew it. So that in itself is pretty amazing. Good, bad, whatever you think about that, pretty amazing. Definitely jokes on us, right? That he would be who we wanted to aspire to be, and we had absolutely no idea that that meant in real life not being the most talented musician in the world. So very, very, pre Paris Hilton, pre Kim Kardashian, um, pre Milli Vanilli. He sort of is an example of all of that, before any of us would have thought you could become famous for not actually having a talent or something that would explain your fame. based purely on image and personality, he managed to become a bass icon. I want to talk a little bit about, because this is a Rocksmith oriented channel, um, that over at Customs Forge you can find a bunch of um, custom user-made CDLCs, which is basically songs that you can upload to Rocksmith and play. You know, plug it, put into your Rocksmith and play it. We got videos on how to patch the game so that it'll let you use CDLCs, the custom user-made songs, in our YouTube channel. Please check that out. We have videos on how to search customsforge.com, which is a site you go to get these. I want to thank James Preston. He is a native of the United Kingdom, and he is a member of Customs Forge like myself. And like myself, he makes custom songs, only unlike myself, he is very, very good at it. Within 24 hours of me requesting No Lip, also on there, it's called Don't Give Me No Lip Child. For me, I requested that because it's my favorite Sex Pistols song. He had it up within 24 hours, so you can go there, download that, play it. Submission is also there and available for download. That is a really cool bass line, just like No Lip or Don't Give Me No Lip Child. Those are very, very fun to play. Um, very, very cool bass lines. I'm not sure if I have CDLCs. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I have my bass covers of those uploaded or not. I don't know. Um, to this day, Don't Give Me No Lip Child gives me a little bit of trouble. I'm not the kind of person who plays a song over and over again unless I'm trying to memorize it. Most of my content, my bass covers, I do apologize. I'm kind of half-assing it on those. Um, I'll play it once or twice with it recorded, and if I get a high enough score, I upload it, even if I think I did a lousy job. They're not there for me to brag about how awesome of a bass player I am, because honestly, I'm not. I'm uploading them because it's fun. This initially started off as a way for me to measure my progress learning how to play the bass using Rocksmith as my primary tool to do so, at least in the beginning. Um, Over time, it's become about just, you know, giving people on YouTube something with some visuals so they can play along and play. And honestly, just seeing how the channel grows, seeing how many views I can get. I don't get, you know, that many views, especially on my very talky videos like this one. Hopefully in the future that'll change. Production quality will definitely go up on my videos, especially my like recommended gear stuff. As soon as I get my house renovation done, I will set aside a room to, you know, with a workbench and everything to try and make those videos. So in the future, fingers crossed, if I ever get this house renovation done, um, which seems like it may never happen. Always feels like that, doesn't it? But I do want to thank you for watching these videos. Those of you that are, I really appreciate it. This is not, you know, me trying to be a pretty princess and get attention. This is just hobby and boredom. At the moment right now, we're locked down because of the coronavirus. So I'm just bored out of my ever-loving mind and just finding something to do. And I absolutely love the bass. I love this story, especially since he inspired me to pick up the bass. He and Flea, more than anyone else, inspired me to pick up the bass. Paul McCartney too. Um, Big Beatles fan. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. All three help us considerably. And stay safe and healthy out there, folks.